Okay, so this is live on the air right now, and this is Flux of Fluxwithit.com. I am basically going to just be making some patches on the Deepmind 12 and kind of talking it through as I go. Nothing, nothing on here is going to be all too specific, and if you're on the YouTube channel, which I'm trying to pull up right now, you can feel free to chime in with some chats and whatnot, and I'll answer as best as I can and kind of try to keep things going. Let me uh, let me just click this link and see if we get some feedback. There we go. I think I muted it before we got feedback, which is always good. Okay. Um, Okay, we are live. I'm typing in the live chat now, and I'm going to pop this window out so that I can see it a little bit better. Let me do this, and I got to minimize. Basically, the audio pathway, in case people are curious, is that I am running through Machine into Google Hangouts. Machine right now is not. I don't have any effects on. Later on, I might turn some effects on. I have the new Sine Vibes dispersion effect, which is a bouncing ball delay. If I turn that on, I'll show you what that kind of sounds like right here. And if I change the timing on it. So that's Sine Vibes dispersion. I'll show you that a little bit later, and that should be pretty dope. So if I don't chat back via text in the live chat right away, just give me a little bit because I'm kind of multitasking. So that's just kind of how life is. And if I had a whole crew in here, that'd be one thing, but I don't. So deal with that. I see we got Paul Johnson in here too. Hopefully, Upright can see it. Maybe I'll text him in a bit, and Christopher Moody and these guys. So shout out to you guys. But anyway, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with a basic patch here. So this is the initialized patch. Nothing is going on here. And if you want to see a closer screen of the DeepMind 12 here, certainly let me know by using the live chat, and I'll try to bring it in because this webcam doesn't. I don't know if it's the webcam or if it's Google Hangouts, but it's not super clear. So we'll just deal with that. Let's go ahead and jump right in. The first place I'm going to start out with is the oscillator section. And so what I'm going to start with is a single triangle wave. Okay. And we're going to kind of, with this patch, I'm going to make something a little bit thicker and fuller than just using the DeepMind 12 in regular poly mode. A lot of people will say that the DeepMind 12 is thin, and that's why I'm using it in a unison mode. That's not really why I'm using it in a unison mode. It can be thick, but it's got that DCO sound, which isn't super fat like a Moog or like the Matrix Brood or anything else. What you can do though is you can use the unison modes to do some really interesting things. What I'm going to start off with doing is we will turn the unison to 2. So now I'm triggering 2 voices. And you'll hear, like, as I'm hitting the voices, there's a little bit of variance between the voices. That's part of it being an analog synth, and the oscillators are free running. Okay, so you can change that if you want. The way that we would change that, and I know I'm saying a lot, but I've had some bourbon, so deal with it. So one of the ways you can do that is if you go into oscillator, I'll kind of read this out so that you guys can understand what it is without worrying too much about you not being able to see the screen. So when you press the edit button here, this is the DCO section. This is our oscillator section. and I can see the range and everything else in here. I'm going down to the very bottom here, and it says key DN reset. What that means is key down reset starts the oscillator waveform over. So what I can do is, see, now the oscillators sound consistent. If I put it back to off, you'll get some variance in between where the oscillators are at. And that's because I'm using two oscillators at the same time, you know, two voices. And if they're free running, you know, the peak of the triangle or of the saw wave could be at different spots, you know. So with key down, it's going to make that always reset so that they're in line with each other. Now, one of the drawbacks to the design of the Deepmind 12 is that it does not have different waveforms for DCO2. You only have a square wave. Now, you can modulate that square wave. So if I turn off DCO1, you'll hear just the DCO2. And you can modulate the pulse width on here. The tone, they call it tone mod. But there's a cool trick that you can do, and I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to go into my LFO. Let's turn the LFO to a square wave. We're going to use LFO1. And a quick little shortcut for this would be to hold down edit, and then you can move the rate, and it'll adjust what your LFO waveform is. So even though it's sort of a menu dive, if you hold down edit and move rate, you don't have to menu dive, which is cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on key sync. So every time I press the key, the LFO is going to reset. And actually, yeah, that's actually going to be rate of the LFO as well. So now what we're going to do is, let's go back to modulation. We're going to go to LFO1, and we're going to do uni. LFO1 uni. We're going to raise that all the way up to 127 right now. Actually, I'm going to bring it down. Let's make it easier to, a little bit more palatable. We'll take it down to like 12. Okay. And, oh, I think I went to 13 there. Alright, so we're at 12. So that's an octave. And, oh, I don't know what I did there. Alright, so we're going to be LFO1 uni. Okay. And then we're going to set that to oscillator 2, or to, actually no, oscillator 1 pitch. Okay. So now you can hear the oscillator 1 is getting alternated in pitch. So now that saw wave is going up and down, right? So here's what we're going to do now. So we go edit that. We're going to turn the phase, take it to like 180. So it's completely opposite here. Unison. Take the unison to about 12. Now if I go back to the mod after having done that, I have independent control of voice 1 and voice 2. So now I have a saw wave um, on two voices, but I can change the pitch of the two voices, right? So it's instead of having just a square wave on one and saw wave plus square wave on the other one, I can now have two saw waves. So it lets me do like fifths and whatnot. So let's take this down to +7. That would be a fifth. So it's like having two saw wave oscillators, which is pretty cool. So you're not quite as limited as you would originally think. Yes, it takes your voices down to 6 instead of 12, but now you have a 6-voice synth that has two saw wave oscillators, kind of like a CS80 or something, you know. And then you still have DCO2 that you can bring in as well, which can act as your sub oscillator. Adjust the volume here a bit. And yeah, so if it's clipping or if it's too loud or anything, I can't really. Hold on, let me adjust here. If it's clipping or if you have any kind of issue with the sound, please let me know through the live chat because I can't really monitor my own sound. So. So again, with DCO2 down, I have two saw waves, and with level up a bit, we can get a little bit thicker. And of course, if I want to add in the square wave. Now, you can go deeper than that by adding in more modulations. So the cool way to really program this thing without having to do a ton of menu diving or really fighting it is you just hold down the mod and then you wiggle whatever you want to be a source and whatever you want to be a destination. So let's say I want LFO2 to be a source. All I did was hold down mod and touch the edit button of LFO2. Now it's a source. So I'm going to go over here and I'll decide how much I want it to modulate. Let's say I want it to modulate about 67, somewhere around there. Just generally speaking, that's a nice middle ground to play with. And then let's say I want that to modulate my unison detune. So then I just hold down mod and I just kind of wiggled the unison detune knob. And now... and I can adjust the rate of LFO2 and you'll hear a little bit more drastic. And again, I'm going to use the hotkey of edit and then the rate to adjust what the waveform is that I'm using. I'm going to use a sine wave here. So we're getting a little bit more of that kind of warble through there. Again, going back to the poly area here, we can adjust the drifting of the oscillators and also the parameters. So I'm going to use parameter drift, and I'm going to set that up to be about 9. And then drift rate, I'll just put it to like 2. I like to add just tiny little bit of sloppiness to it, but not a lot, like not too much to where it just gets ridiculous. So again, we're using 2 saw waves here, and I'm gonna modulate the sub oscillator here. So let's do we'll do key velocity. We'll decide how much of the sub oscillator we want to bring in, and I'll bring that up to about 75, and then we'll do level. So the harder I hit, the more of that sub oscillator comes in. Now I'm going to adjust the pitch of that as well. So you get get that cool kind of extra layer that comes in the harder you play. I'm also going to modulate the envelope here. Let's bring the envelope, or the filter, excuse me. Let's bring the filter down a little bit. Resonance. Yeah, right about there. Okay, so I'm going to give it some envelope here. So I press the VCF, and I can adjust my envelope settings for the VCF. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a decay, a little bit of a release, and bring the sustain up a bit. And then over here, VCF, envelope, I'll bring it up about halfway. And then I'm going to adjust the sustain until I get to where I want it to be. There we go. And this is really where the territory of the Deepmind 12 kind of makes me pretty happy compared to the like the Prophet 12. I had the Prophet 12 right next to me, and in 12 dB mode on the Prophet 12, you don't get any of that resonance bite that you can get on the Deepmind 12. So the Deepmind 12 can do these really cool funk leads and whatnot that the Prophet 12 doesn't, quite do the same way. Now I'm going to modulate a little bit more here. We'll do aftertouch. So I just hold down mod and then press down the key and keep pressing it down so that you get the pressure. And that's also going to go to filter. So we'll do filter frequency. Now, one thing to keep in mind about the Deepmind 12 is that you really only have 8 destinations as far as where you're modulating to and from. It'd be nice if you had more, but we can certainly work with 8, So here's where I really like to start having some fun with it. We have not done any effects at all at this point. It's completely dry. And I'm going to give it a little bit of release here. So let's play with some effects on here. Now, what I like to do for the effects, let's see if I have this thing kind of set up right now. Okay. Yeah, we should be good. So I have the iPad editor here, and I kind of let it go to sleep, so it might be a little bit messed up right now. But let me see if it's still connected. Looks like it's all right. So we'll go to overview. In here, what I can do, let me bring this up a little bit so you guys can see it. The reason why I like using the iPad editor is because it makes editing the effects way nicer. So these are the 4 effect slots, and then when you bring this up, you can just kind of scroll through and you can look at all the different effects that are inside of the Deepmind 12, right? So let's say, for instance, what do we want to do? Let's do the dual pitch first, okay? So when I load the dual pitch, here it is, and then I can adjust. Let me see if I can do this with this thing kind of sitting here. So we can adjust delays and let's set this thing up like this. All right, and we can adjust the panning, and you can just get into some really cool stuff on here. Let's bring this thing back to like 3. Let's just take a look at a couple of different things on here. I really like the multiband distortion because one of the drawbacks to using the Deepmind 12 is I don't know if it's necessarily because it's just the guys who created this are the guys from Midas, and they're so super used to making sure that noise floor and everything is so low on everything. But the Deepmind 12 is super pristine. Lower noise floor in this synth than just about any synth that I have, which is very cool. But one thing that you do want to see in an analog is you like to overdrive filters and you like to get that saturation, that kind of thing. On the Deepmind 12, really you get the best saturation when you're using the plugins, to be perfectly frank, when you're using the effects on here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm actually going to use the multiband distortion, and I'm going to just kind of dirty up the low end and the mid range, and I'll leave the high end pretty clear. So low drive I'm going to bring up to about 50. Mid drive I'm going to bring up to about 65, somewhere around there, 68. And then you have levels for each one as well. Let me just... And I have a feeling that I kind of... must have moved the pitch accidentally. I was putting the iPad on there. So, and you have different distortion types and cabinet types as well. Distortion type 3 gives a nice full sound. And I'm going to use cabinet 6 here. Let me bring the volume down a little bit so I'm not blowing out the feed here. Yeah, I can absolutely fix that. So, yeah, let me fix that now. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better. Let me try and push this up. All right, let me move this out of the way. What I'll do is I'll set this right here. Hopefully you guys can see it. That's a little bit better, right? Let me bring my level up. Okay, now I can hear it a little bit better too. So, where were we at? We're going to go back to the effects. So the multiband distortion, I'm not kind of overusing it. I'm just using it enough to kind of gritty it up just a bit. Now I'm going to add another effect in, and I can just select right on here. And of course, I like these chorus sounds. This is the Dimension D chorus. And with the routing on here, you can do cool feedback loops as well. So you just kind of touch on the iPad here, and you can do it all from the synth, but the iPad just makes things so easy to kind of see it. And you can tell that as I touch the routings on here, you'll see them change down here. So you'll see how instantaneous it is. I mean, it really happens like right away. So now, what I have is the multiband distortion goes into the chorus. The chorus then splits and goes to effect 3 and effect 4, which I haven't done anything to yet. So what I'm going to do is for effect 3, I'm going to have a flanger. And I'm going to set the delays kind of short on it. The width is going to be kind of high. Speed is going to be a little bit slow. And let's go ahead and then for effect 4, we're going to use the decimator delay. Now, the decimator delay you probably haven't seen a ton about online, and the reason for that is because the decimator delay was put into the Deepmind 12 last. It was the last effect that they added to the Deepmind 12, and it is really cool. So it's a bit crusher and it's a delay combined, along with a filter as well. One of the great things about this is it has a pre and post. So if you can hear it like this in post mode, the delays are the only thing being bit crushed. But if you put it in pre mode, everything is going to go. So we're going to do pre, and then we're going to come over to the mix and drop the mix all the way down. So now we're taking an analog synth and we're really making it digital as possible here, because I'm downsampling it and I'm bit crushing it, and I can filter it. That's digital filtering going on there. And you have low pass, band pass, high pass, and notch on that as well. So let's go band pass. All right, give me just 1 second here.
Yo, Flux. You there?
Okay. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to modulate that stuff. And you can do it all from here, like I've been doing. But let's go back to the overview here, and then I can go to the modulation matrix, okay? And when you're in the modulation matrix, you can just go ahead and select straight away right from here. We'll go ahead and select our source is going to be, let's do LFO2, uni, destination. We're going to scroll on down. And let's go all the way to FX4. We're going to do FX4 cutoff. We'll decide to give it yeah, that's about right. So you can hear that you're getting this digital filter kind of just doing its thing, which is really dope. Now, and I've got all that bit crushing going on. I can play with how much bit crushing, and I'm actually not bit crushing so much right now as downsampling. So I can take that away, or I can give it more. And of course you can modulate that too. So let's let's have some fun with that. We'll go ahead and modulate. We'll use, let me think. Let's use envelope 3, and then we'll modulate the sample rate. FX4 downsample. And then let's go to our modulation, and I'm just going to set up a nice envelope for that. So we'll do a nice long attack, long decay, a little bit of a sustain, and a little bit of a release. Now, the awesome thing about the envelopes on the Deepmind 12 is that you can fully adjust your curves. So if you hit the curve button and then adjust them, you can see that, like, if you look at the attack, see how I'm adjusting that right now? So I'm going to just kind of adjust this up so that it's like a gradual one, and then the decay is going to be kind of like a big hump, because the Humpty Dance is your chance. So and we'll go back to the modulation here, and we'll play with the amount until we get right to where we want to be. Let's set our VCA release a little bit longer. And then we'll go back to the modulation here. And then adjust the amount. And I still have 2 modulation slots empty. What I'd like to do with that is make some kind of... I like to add modulations that just kind of take things way outside the realm of normality. So we're going to use the mod wheel here first, because I haven't set up a mod wheel destination yet. And we'll do... let's try this first. We're going to do the unison detune. Yeah, I like that. And then let's see what else we have here. Maybe we change the flanger to a we'll change the flanger out, and in place we're going to put a type of reverb. Let's go ahead and do vintage room. Definitely getting some cool stuff. 1:40 in the AM in Europe. Yeah, that's kind of early/late, you know. So now I'm gonna modulate a little bit of that, because I love modulated reverbs. So first I'm gonna start with the mod wheel, and then if I decide to change it to something else, then I will. But I always like to kind of start with something that I can control by hand, and then decide if I want it to be like a context-sensitive thing, such as speed of playing or something like that. I can change that later. So let's go deep into, it should be FX3. So yeah, here we are. So FX3. And we'll do decay. So we'll adjust the effect here a bit. Let's do the decay length a little bit shorter. Mix, we'll take down just a hair. And then as I bring up the mod wheel, so again, remember that mod wheel is not just the reverb. We're also bringing up the unison detune. So as I bring that up, we're spreading the voices apart, so they're getting a bit of dissonance going on, and we're getting longer reverb trails. So you get that kind of eerie sound, you know? And we've got those that decimation happening too. So let's play a little bit more with that. We'll go back to here and let's go back to the decimator. Take the gain of it down just a bit. So that way it's not quite as in your face. And now I got a little bit of the decimator delay's actual delay happening. If I use the arpeggiator. So you get some really cool sounds with that. And yeah, and then saving your patch is pretty easy. You just hit right, and then I'm on a blank default program here. So what I'm going to do is just hit over category. I guess we'll call that a pad, and then I can name it. So I like to use the slider a lot of the times to get closer to the letters that I want to use. And we'll call this, I don't know. I don't know what we should call it, to be honest with you. Yeah. So the mod wheel, as far as it changing color as you use it, you can set that up in your main menus as well. You can have it always be on or off, or have it contextual like I currently have it. So okay, so we'll call it, actually, you know what we'll call it? We'll call it live stream. Why not, right? So, I don't know that if you can do this. I doubt that you can. I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can use the app to name your programs, which would certainly be nice. I would definitely like that a lot, because scrolling through to name presets is never fun on any synthesizer. But not the end of the world, of course. It's just for those of us that make a lot of patches, it would be nice. Let me do it like this. I'm gonna cheat. I abbreviate stream because I'm lazy, and because I have kids upstairs that probably need to see me eventually. Oh, I can hear one of them screaming right now. That must be Ollie going to town. And we will do. So I should have a rather large bank of patches out and ready quite soon. I'm not sure what's going to happen with those patches just yet. But I would say stay on the lookout for it because uh, put a lot of time and effort into them, and that's definitely something that if you are, if you pick up a Deepmind and you want extra inspiration, I mean, seriously, there's so many good um, patches that are in here already. But if you want more inspiration, that's kind of what these things are all about. So now I have live stream Flux. Another cool thing that I'll show you real quick is you can do the preset blender. So what I would do here is I can go here and I can select my bank, and I'm going to select just a random preset here. And we'll do this guy here. And hold on. And then this one here is going to be Polytime. And then this one over here will be switch them all up to patches that I've done. So now I have 4 of my patches loaded, all right? And I can morph in real time between them. If I go all the way to the corner, pretty cool that you can just kind of morph through your patches like that just using the iPad app. And there's really like no delay on these things, man. So later on tonight, if you guys have questions about the DeepMind 12, feel free to hit me up. And you're saying that's only with the iOS app. I do have the software editor as well. Let me pull it up real quick. They're asking if you can patch morph on the other editor as well. There is the preset blender here as well, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. Give me just a second here. We'll go here, and then you should be able to see it. So this is what the editor looks like. I'm on a Mac right now, and this is what the editor looks like here. So you would just go ahead and you could select here. You would, let's say for instance, select a preset, and I don't have the Deepmind connected right now, so you're not seeing my presets, but you would select a preset and then you just drop it here, and then you'd be good, and you drop your presets on there and your effects on there, and you're good to go. So yeah, you can do that, right from there. Let me stop screen sharing. Yeah, so that's the Deepmind 12, and if you guys have questions, certainly hit me up. Always willing to chat it up and kind of talk about some things. Later on, probably tonight and possibly tomorrow, let's see if we can show this, I'm going to be doing a similar type thing for the Matrix Brute over there, and I'll be talking about integrating the Matrix Brute with your Eurorack modular system, because I'm sure people are curious about that as well. So if you have questions, feel free to hit me up. In the meantime, check out shop.fluxwithit.com. I've got some new sound packs that are coming out. I've done some sounds recently for Spark from Arturia and the of course, the Matrix Brute and a bunch of other stuff. I got a bunch of stuff coming. So check that stuff out. Anyway, peace.